Hello everyone, this is Dr. Houck, your professor for ANTH 3315, Ethnomedicine. This is not going to be very polished or anything, but I think you'll find it helpful. This is usually the sort of thing I would do during our first class meeting. If we were having regular face-to-face meetings, which is the way I taught this course for years and years and years before it was converted to an online course format. To be honest, it's not my favorite way to teach. I really love the back and forth exchange that occurs in the classroom, but I think you'll find this course to be pretty rewarding, certainly very informative. So there are a few things that I would like to cover here, things that I think might help you and might clear up a few questions about the course. Some of this information you may hear again in one of the other videos, but I just want to make sure I cover all the bases here. So that's why I've done this sort of extra video for you. If you have any questions about anything, don't hesitate to email me. You can call me. I'm here most of the time. So please don't hesitate to contact me. Also, too, you'll find that there is an Ask Questions Here link at the Moodle site for the course. Please use that. I actually prefer you to use that first, since that way everyone else can see the answer to your question. If it's something a bit more private, that's okay. You can email me and we can handle it like that. By the way, the Moodle site is up and running for the course. Your first assignment will be due Friday of the first week. And of course, since next week is the first week of class, well, your first assignment will be due, I guess we could say, a week from Friday. Now, everything is up and open except for the questions for Module 1, which will open on Monday. That you'll find that is going to be the case throughout the semester. All the materials are open for the entire semester. So you can certainly go as far as you want to in regard to screening the videos, doing the readings, etc. But the questions for each module will open the day after the work for the prior module is due, which means you'll have 5 full days to access the questions and answer the questions, which I think is plenty enough time, especially since, as I said, you don't actually have to wait till then to begin reviewing the materials. Please note that this is a regular semester 3-credit hour course. Not only that, it's a junior level course. So for years and years, this was taught in a 16-week face-to-face format. When it was converted to an online course, we're now working with 8-week sessions, as you know. So that means now we couldn't just cut the material in half, because then it would no longer be a 3-credit hour course. There are accreditation issues, for example. So we take the 16-week course, I'm trying to get this here where you can see it, and we collapse it into 8 weeks. So same amount of material, half the time. So if it seems like the pace is a bit harried, and if it seems like you're a bit overwhelmed, well, that really can't be avoided, given the fact that, as I said, we are doing twice the work, or you can say we're doing all the work but in half the time. So please keep that in mind. The books for the course, there are 3 books. This one is more or less the textbook, Sickness and Healing by Hahn, and then we have another book of readings. We'll be reading assorted chapters out of it. The Kinsley book, Health, Healing, and Religion. And then finally, The Serpent and the Rainbow is the 3rd book you'll be reading. Please note that this book is the only one that is assigned to be read from cover to cover. We will be covering this book during the 6th module. So you have about a month and a half, I guess you could say, to be ready for that. So you will want to be reading this a bit by bit as you go. I mean, you certainly will not want to wait until the last minute, because as I said, just to sort of forewarn you, we will be covering this entire book. So, there are sections you can probably peruse and skim. You can use your own judgment there. Written assignments. A lot of your points, actually 8 written assignments, 40 points each, that's 320 points. Written assignments are probably the most important in regard to the total points in the class. The papers were 200, each exam is 200, but all the written assignments total together are 320 points for a total of 920. You can find grade calculations and so forth on the syllabus. So I thought it would be important to spend just a second or two helping you with the written assignments, give you a few hints. First of all, please follow instructions very, very carefully. What I mean by that is answer the questions that are asked. Try not to be too tangential. In other words, stay on the topic. There's certainly enough to write about there to keep you busy. Also, too, please structure your answers along the lines that the question itself is formatted. So if there's a part 1, part 2, part 3 in the question, well then when I look at your work, I should see part 1, then your discussion, part 2, your discussion, etc. There is a minimum page length. I call this the barest minimum standard for length, and it's 2 pages for the written assignments. And to be quite honest, if you have reviewed all the videos, you've done all the readings, and reviewed all the materials, whatever there is available for you in that module, you will have no problem filling up 2 pages. That's the barest minimum standard. Okay, the superior papers will be longer than that, meaning that they're thoughtful, they really spent some time on the issue. Just check the grading rubrics that are available for you on the Moodle site for that information. Please proofread your papers. If there are too many grammatical issues, it affects reading comprehension, and I can no longer really understand what it is you're trying to say. So please proofread your papers, because I guarantee you can catch a lot of the things I can see immediately. And if you look at the grading rubric, you'll see that grammar is important in your written assignments, because as I said, I'm not an English teacher, but please note, it affects reading comprehension. So a paper needs to be written well if you expect the reader to understand what it is you're saying. Okay? Please type out your written assignments in Microsoft Word and submit them at the link provided. Should be pretty easy. I would guess everyone has access to Microsoft Word. If you must use Adobe, if that's the only thing you have, then sure, that's okay. But I really can't accept any other formats. Even Adobe requires me to do a little bit of extra work on my end. I prefer Microsoft Word if at all possible. And please, Times New Roman, 12-point font, double-spaced. Again, all that information is on the syllabus. I can't emphasize this enough. Please read all the introductory materials, watch all the introductory videos, and be totally ready to hit the ground running next week. This is not the course that you want to be caught off guard regarding something. I would sit down with the calendar, and I would actually sort of map out my semester. Due dates for all the material, all the assignments are all over the place on the syllabus and on Moodle, so there's no reason for anyone to be caught off guard. And you need to plan ahead. I'm not very sympathetic to those who, for lack of planning, end up turning in late assignments. You'll note that the penalty is pretty severe for late submission of work. Now, of course, please note, if you have an issue, an emergency of some sort, please just notify me, and I can certainly work with you. Okay? This is an anthropology course, so we are approaching everything from an anthropological perspective. What is that? Well, if you look at the syllabus at the very top, you'll see culture talks, but nature doesn't listen. What does that mean? Well, what that means is that nature just sort of, quote unquote, does its thing, totally oblivious to what people think about it. So, for example, consider religion. What we actually know about life on this planet, for sure, is that there are eons and eons of oblivion, right? Punctuated by a spark of consciousness that lasts about 70 to 80 years, at which time, quote unquote, lights go out, brain shuts down, the body decomposes, and will return to the star stuff from whence we came. That we know with certainty. Everything else is guesswork. And how can I say that? Easy. There are 10,500 distinct religions. Virtually all of them have differing ideas regarding what happens to us after we die. That's precisely what I mean when I say culture talks, but nature doesn't listen. There's certainly one way things are. Now, culture would like things to be a certain way, right? So if you happen to be liberal, you would like things to be a certain way. If you happen to be conservative, you would like things to be a certain way. But again, nature doesn't care. So what does that mean for us? Well, quite simply, we need to stay in the world of data, right? Empiricism, the material world, because the issues that we'll be investigating are issues to which data can be brought to bear. So religion, personal sentiment, politics, opinion are all irrelevant. Okay? In that regard. Now, I am not saying, now please don't get the wrong idea, I'm not saying religion is irrelevant. You have to understand the context in which religion is very relevant in regard to providing a social glue for morality, psychological, existential well-being, and so forth. I realize that. I'm a scholar of religions, quote unquote. But in this class, we'll be talking about things for which, as I said, data can be brought to bear, and that's where we're going to stay. In the quote unquote data-based world, we'll be applying a data-based epistemology as opposed to quote unquote a faith-based epistemology. Okay, I think I covered everything. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to contact me. As I said, the Moodle site is up and running, so you can certainly get a little head start on all the materials if you'd like. So welcome to the course.